I think that we are embarking upon a new age of positivity and light, and I see that pretty clearly.
Yeah.
Do you? What do you think?
I think everybody is leveling up spiritually. There is less you can hide from every individual. So if you want to get somewhere, you have to be a little more authentic or more of a well-shaped person.
Mm-hmm.
You will be seen. I don't think anyone can hide. And you can see it in our politics. You can see it in our state of the world. There's no hiding anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have these conversations. You have to have these arguments. You have to go through the fire. And I'm interested to see how that shapes up next for the younger generations.
Great title for a podcast, Blessings.
Thank you. Yes, I love it.
What a great meditation.
We are here to learn in the spirit of life.
I'm all about believe. You're about spreading blessings. It's great.
What about your blessings? What's the biggest blessing of life?
What a great question.
Because it's the Blessings podcast, I have to ask you, what is your biggest lesson in life?
My biggest lesson in life.
A whole lot of conversations with people about life and how those things manifest as blessings and lessons, and sometimes both. It's my connection.
You're going to get schooled.
The journey is the journey.
What you and me are searching for are the blessings in this life.
Remember the reality of how sweet people are.
Spread blessings around the world.
You are the most remarkable energy. You make me pause, make me excited, make me think, and make me spontaneously come up with an answer. This is another one of those great moments in time in my life. Thank you for reaching out to ask if I would do the show.
Welcome back to Blessings, friends. This conversation is about to get very deep. Today, I am speaking to a man who relishes life, has a talent for moving to the rhythm of his inner flow and connecting to a deeper truth, even as he dwells smack dab in the chaos of New York City. He knows how to tap into the well of wellness, and he teaches others to do the same. He's a fitness trainer who incorporates all aspects of what it means to access health, addressing the mind, body, and soul into his work. He's into the concept of pushing the physical body to access the mind. He cooks like an artist, and he's a proud dad, and he's an actor, using his creative nature to try on and explore different personalities and characters. The definition of a well-rounded human, in my opinion. And so there will be no small talk here today. Welcome, Braven Hawkens, to the show.
Oh my God, that was quite the intro.
Did you recognize yourself?
A little bit.
What resonated the most with you in that?
Sometimes it's nice to hear all the pieces because I'm always in the midst of working on something else, or where am I presently? Am I in the best of balance to walk down the street and not be so judgmental?
Yeah.
So I'm always working on something. So when you hear all these things together, you're like, oh, I guess I do that.
You do.
It's very nice.
You do. So is that what you're working on right now? Judgment?
Yeah, that's a big part of it because I feel like it gets in the way, even if it's just a little bit. And if you don't know where it's coming from, you can't really disassemble it to get something better out of it. So whether I walk by someone who's not mentally healthy in New York, and sometimes they're naked and smelly and they're this and they're that, you got to get past the initial like physicality and like old way of possibly thinking, right? So then I'll go into making sure they're okay, and there's someone I can call, I can do that. And I'm also a New Yorker, so sometimes you balance whether can you do this right now, or do you got to go where you got to go?
Yeah.
You have to use your gut and be like, I should probably help this person out, or they'll be all right. Here we go. They'll be all right. And that's part of both, right?
Yeah. I think it's so interesting, the New York City life, because of that, because there is just a little bit of everything there. I can go to New York and I always see, in fact, I was just in the city the other day and I always notice the best of humanity, but I've also seen people urinating on the sidewalk.
Yeah. I've never seen anything like it. I love it. not the urination, but they're like just the fact that we're all in the same little microcosm and everyone has a different journey, right?
Yeah.
So I used to love when people would come on the trade begging for money because they'd have different spiels. And back then I was in sales in a big way. And I was just like, they changed this just a little bit. I bet they do a little better. Why
You're
is
giving
it
them
not-
tips, sales tips?
Oh, think a couple times, right? A couple times with the younger kids who are selling candy and they have the whole spiel, and a couple things didn't land right. But most of the time they get so used to getting it down the first time, they don't want to change anything different. So it's really funny to see. And yeah, I just do it for I used to do it for myself because it was also like, I guess then I even like characters then before even going to acting school at the beginning of my New York journey. This guy's so wild. He's yelling at everybody, expecting everyone to give him money, but he's so mean. And I'm like, he really believes it. And the story's good. There's 3 girls he's taking care of that are hungry. And he's yelling in your ear. Oh, this is incredible. He's so not self-aware. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's one of the things I notice about you is that you have a way of noticing people and the world in a way that I would characterize as non-judgmental. So it's interesting that that's one of the things you're working on, but I feel like I'm always working on judgment too. So that's why I asked you about that, because it's one of my goals to be non-judgmental. But then as a person who works in healing and mentoring others, often I find that I am judging them because I'm trying to determine what they, quote, need.
Yeah, it's judgment. I notice racism in my own thoughts. I notice a lot of things when I'm dipped. When I'm up, you can't beat me. You're around me, I'm going to make you happy. I'm going to make you hopeful, those things. But when I'm down, I can see all these little things. And I'm just like, that's a scarred, hurt part of me just judging something that's just not good. And it's probably not going to help. If we believe ourselves to be a light and it's a little cloudy, we're probably going to be a much better source of light if we're less cloudy, and we're able to do that for ourselves and for each other.
That's right. Yeah. What are some of the things you do to help yourself to be less cloudy when you're aware of it?
For me, I love sleep. Makes a huge difference.
Oh,
yeah. Even just this is my first podcast, honestly, and I was a little nervous beforehand. So
that's crazy. You're like the least nervous seeming person I know. You seem so calm and peaceful and zen and able to flow. Thank you for sharing that with me, because it helps me to even get to know you a little bit better. So
yeah, it's easy when we're in small groups or when you're just not hiding. Like this is like your head goes crazy and goes, the world's gonna see this. Oh my God, what if whatever?
I hope the world sees this. It'd be so great. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But this is what your head does. It's just, what if it's not this? What if it's not that? And then I just get I meditated before coming here and lots of good sleep, doing all my duties of everything else. And I usually feel pretty good then. And once I'm
What if I ask you this question? I want you to tell me the first thing that pops into your mind. What do you think is the most important thing in life?
Self-awareness, because you can lie to anybody else, but when you're lying to yourself, man, you're just cutting your own limbs off.
You're very self-aware. Are you a person who realizes pretty much right away when you're in one of those self-described dips?
Yeah, for sure. So everything has a light and a shadow. So I'm extremely self-aware, but I can also like fumble everything around me and watch it fall apart and go, oh, interesting, instead of picking pieces up.
Mm-hmm. That's a very high level of thinking. I was just exposed to a video about thinking the other day. And basically, people who are able to notice themselves noticing things are at a very high level of awareness.
Okay. Yeah. Or they're just afraid to take that extra step that they're not doing at that moment that they're watching themselves to make things a little better. And I noticed that too. And I'm just like,
do you think is self-awareness sometimes a bit of a curse?
No, I don't think so. I try to give everything a positive spin. Tools were given.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't think I would be in the relationships I've been in the last however long, or I relationship with my son and my mother if I wasn't self-aware and it wasn't consistently a thing that I've worked on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Um,
agree. I find self-awareness to be an extremely valuable tool in life, and it's something that I've worked very hard to deepen as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes your level of self-awareness is enhanced with age, but also with your level at which you can meet yourself. And like you said, the ability to be brave enough to do that.
That's exactly right. To take that action when you see it, or as you see the parallels, and you're like, excuse me, this can happen again. I can
Yeah.
not bring this conversation up again in a relationship, and then it's going to go in the same direction.
That's true.
I
Because,
cut it out.
yeah, and self-awareness usually means that you're going to find something you have to work on.
And it's interesting because now having a child, I go head on with these things a little more consistently.
I'll bet.
Because it's not just me, and it's not just real basic things of finances, work, friendships. Now I have like a real family, like something a part of me outside of me that's not your mom or dad. It's just, oh boy, this is the most vibrant, fruitful, and youngest possibility of my soul. It's really interesting. So I have to do my best to help shape it and let it shape me.
Wow. So do you think of your child as an extension of your soul?
Yeah, or as a teammate, right? Because you have every once in a while in life, you have a special player come into your life. And it could be a child, it could be a best friend, it could be a pet, it could be a gift that suddenly is opened up that you never knew that you had. And I look at children as a special player. And you're just lucky to have them right now at this time in your life, because now you're set up to win a little more. You just have to see how.
That's a very beautiful view of parenting.
Yeah.
What's your overall philosophy of parenting in this world today that we're experiencing?
When I'm anxious, one thing at a time, right? Tell myself one thing at a time. And then I just start moving. Even if you just get up and you're not going specifically where you need to go, I just get up one thing at a time. And wherever I have to go that makes me nervous, or it's a challenge in some way, shape, or form, I just go in that direction and I stand there. And then I do one thing at a time. I open that computer, I write what I have to write, I send it out, whatever it is you have to do. Just get closer to the proximity. Just get there, even when things are difficult, right? Make that conversation. Hey, I think we should talk. And you just start it somehow. Just take your time.
Just one step at a time. And I love the idea that you don't need to see where it's all going to lead.
Yeah, you just have to be brave enough to be kind and patient in conversation. So you need good communication. So you're aware of whether or not things are moving enough to not lose its wheels.
That's right. Yeah. What kinds of challenges do you see your child facing in the world?
The ones I see, I obviously make an effort to help shape. So discipline and freedom. How is it that I can teach him with joy why discipline is awesome, right? Because as a child, you don't exactly realize something is awesome. That doesn't initially look that way, but you feel comfortable and happy to stay where you are. So whether you don't watch TV, but we're going to play with blocks. By the time we're done, we have 3 tall towers. We have a car park and a bridge. And you never notice that the TV's gone. So it's like the discipline to leave this and then do this and be together. Freedom of like being happy afterwards. So it's that. Yeah. And then
so
also
discipline leads to happiness. Discipline leads to freedom, and freedom leads to happiness.
Yeah, I try not to talk for everybody.
Yeah.
For myself, and now for my son. But it does for me. I get a high when I study for a certain period of time, and I don't have my phone around me, and I don't miss a word.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like everything. Like, if this was worth me cracking open, then this person probably made every word specific for a certain reason of storytelling. So don't miss a word. Just,
Right.
yeah, and you just get into it. Just get into it. And I realize I feel elevated right afterwards, just like exercise. Your power is doubled by your own power.
Mm.
So the moment that you just warm up, suddenly you can do a little more hinging at certain limbs. And then from there, now you have a lightness, and then you can stretch some, and then you can do some strength, and then you move in. Like, you can do so much if you do the one step.
Mm. So the more you do, the more you can do.
The more you do, you're present, the more you can organize the gifts that you just realized are there.
Mm-hmm.
So runners
Yeah.
always say, I'm fine until I start running. Until long term, they break down, because that initial feeling of that you're given to warm up makes your muscles feel good, and you beat the body up, and you don't keep stretching, you don't do the things that are necessary to keep an understanding of how to build your automobile better and better. So
Right.
that initial thing that you miss is that fact that you're given a little bit of warmth to work on the next thing. And it doesn't mean just go run a bunch. It means, hey, how about some flexibility right now before we go run? Hey, how about we stop here now that we noticed that certain parts of our bodies need a little extra? Good. Hey, how about we go to the sauna and do a little more, or go to
Mm.
a plunge? So you just start realizing these pieces. You don't bypass and be like, I'm fine. It's my machine. It's fine. You can't
Yeah. So,
control the physical machine to be
right.
better. You have to pay attention to the pieces and then be your own little architect.
Yes. And your approach to fitness training is different in that way, because you really look at it as a holistic practice. It includes all aspects of mind, spirit, as well as the physical.
Yeah, and that's grown for more trainers and health practitioners. So it's not only me. I just so happen to be doing it for 20 years. So I see more and I have more tools and all these things. But when I see these younger trainers, they have so much more possibilities so early. So it's the collective consciousness of physical fitness and the science behind it, and then the old that we're intertwining and realizing that the parallels are the same. So Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, naturopathic medicine, MD, ND, eating to your blood type, like, it all parallels. Now we have more and more information that says, hey, what is being said over there for a long time actually works here too. So maybe we should figure this out.
Isn't that interesting, the way when knowledge appears in the world,
Yeah.
that it's able to find its way into all these different facets of life?
Yeah. Yeah. When the river flows, it flows.
Yeah.
Like, whoever wants it just gets closer to the river.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And you are someone who is very good at being in the present moment. Every time that I've been at an event with you, you're always really there. You're very present in a conversation. You're very present in the activity, whatever the event is. And that helps, I think, others to also find that access to the present moment. How do you tap into that as a person who lives in literally the middle of chaos in New York City?
Because I realized that I live in the middle of chaos. So plants and all the things that make me happy, including people and going to events, that I realize that we're all there for the same reason. And when that happens, you see a collective of people have magnetically moved into the same space. It makes me even more focused to meet people, because their magic has led them there, and feel it in the room. When the whole room is feeling of a certain level for takeoffs.
Yeah.
So we're usually in a place where people are ready to go. So it's always easier for me because I can feel it in the air and I can see it in people, and it's easy to communicate, get that, hey, what's your name kind of feeling. It's always easy to start conversations with strangers in the events that we're privy to go to.
And so do you find yourself doing that even when you're not at an event that has that kind of energy? Do you find it easy to connect with strangers?
Yeah, I try. I make an effort, a clear effort without hitting on someone like obvious, because you have to be somewhat authentic. You lean and someone's cute and
You have to be
lean in the
careful.
wrong direction. So I try to be as authentic as possible. So I make it a practice because early on in sales, I knew that most people are really smart and you can feel when you're being honest
Mm-hmm.
or when you're not.
Yeah.
So I try to be as authentic then, and then I still do the same thing in terms to help lift people up and to just connect with somebody.
Do you think that's your purpose here?
I'm definitely I'm here to turn on light switches. Everyone has a grouping of things that really need maintenance and turning on every once in a while. And one thing can turn on something else. And all you need to do is give them a little bit of a shift. So yeah,
Right.
It's definitely what I'm here to do is build hope and structurally give possibilities.
My dad is 83 years young. Every morning, he sends my sister and I and all his grandchildren a good morning message. It's always something uplifting, positive, and encouraging. And it always says, I love you. We all look forward to this, and we know that Granddad won't be around forever. So we really cherish these messages of love and empowerment. My dad loves to say, every day is a new opportunity. And that is what he taught me. That, along with how to work smarter, hold family dear, and go after my dreams. I know there are people out there who go through the motions every day with no one saying good morning, no encouraging word, and to support a positive mindset. And there are others who are doing all the right things, but still need a little nudge to create and maintain positive habits throughout the day. So in my dad's honor, I've created Your Positive Moment. Research clearly shows the benefits of positivity and connection. A recent Gallup poll showed a significant percentage of the world is lonely. Your Positive Moment solves these problems. These are messages that come directly to your phone first thing in the morning, so you can begin every day on a high note. The message includes a loving greeting, an affirmation, a daily reflection, and an easy action step to get you going in the direction of growth and fulfillment and transformation, and to help you stack up good habits. A simple daily message has the power to change your life. Get started with your beneficial morning message habit for free. yourpositivemoment.com.
What's your favorite way to do that for people?
When you're authentic and you're really with people and you give it enough time, it's almost like being with a child. You're automatically with their inner child. When you can do that and make them smile or laugh, and when I start this, I tend to be a little kooky because I'll say something out loud. I'd be like, I would have never thought to put zucchini in a muffin. Like when I'm at a coffee shop and I'm just talking out loud, but my best effort, because I love food, to do something and to communicate with somebody. And then hopefully you get to the point where they want to be with you also.
That is a great idea, to say something a little bit interesting, a little bit curious like that.
It's what I know. It's what's in my head. I was like, holy shit, zucchini has made it to the muffin. In my head, I'm like, the zucchini has made it in a muffin. I understand the carrot. It's a cake. You know what I mean? This is like, where's... Yeah.
Oh my God, you're the best. And people think that way, but they don't say it out loud. And I was just thinking about this idea today, is that the idea of authenticity, everybody wants to be authentic. It's such a buzzword, but so many of us are not willing to say the things that we feel that we can't say. Like, how many people you do think look at that muffin and say that same thing to themselves, but they're afraid they're going to be perceived as strange if they say it out loud. Yeah. But yet if you say it, you're going to connect to someone in a very meaningful way, because everybody's thinking that.
So you and I both know that at a certain age, everyone we loved who's been successful or happy or in any aspect of their life successful, they say, the moment I stopped giving up everything got better. So I
Yeah.
think about that all the time. So when I'm uncomfortable doing something, I think about it. I'm just like, look at the people who inspire me. They don't give a rat's. It's amazing. The people who wear all this wonderful clothing on the street, person who's singing with a guitar doesn't have very much, but man, their gift keeps growing. And you're like, this person's voice is amazing.
Yep.
Just don't care about what everybody thinks. I try to remind myself not to care while still caring for them, but not caring about anything else, because it doesn't help my in to you. It's rockier than it needs to be, even if it is rocky, because it doesn't always turn out well. And you're fine. You take it on the chin. It's fine. You did your best to put a smile on someone's face. Maybe you did later. It just wasn't. It's not happening right now.
That is such a great way of being in the world, to be able to be in a place where you know that you can affect the light in others by being a light yourself.
Yeah. And
that's beautiful.
It does build you. I feel really happy once I've had a good interaction with somebody.
Oh, yeah.
I'm brown. I'm Latino. It's easy for me to see someone black and brown, like, hey, brother, how are you? There's a kinship that I know there's a quick in. So it's less scary. Sometimes it takes momentum. Like sometimes I'll call my mother, right, when I know she's going through stuff, and just try to build her up in order for me to feel good. And then I'll go into my meditation. And so it just crosses back and forth. And you got to realize when you feel good, you can do one more thing. And then you can do one more thing. And then you can do one more thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Feeling good is the ultimate. That is really the magic key. And we don't always feel good. So we have to figure out, when we're in that little dip, using some of the tools like you mentioned before, the meditation, the mindset tools to get us to that place. Because you said when we were talking before the show that fun is a motivator.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting, because I can remember times in my life when I had a lot more fun. And usually it was because I was drinking too much or like something like that, which I don't do anymore. And so sometimes I feel like accessing fun on your own is hard.
Yeah, it is. Last night, I knew I had this, and I've had really early clients, and I'm usually locked out till 2:30, 2 o'clock. And with work, there was a lot of fun happening outside. But when you have things to do, like, how do you have fun? Gratitude's the easiest way to have fun. There's no lack of fun when you look up at the New York landscape, or when you walk outside my house and you see the Empire State Building and it's a different color, and you're like, what color is this for? Every day is something different. There's no lack of things to have fun about. But if you're not in that gratitude space of what you have and where you are, no matter where you are, most of us tend to be in a better place than what we see in the news. And it's really hard to have fun in a way where you don't need to go wild.
That's right. Fun can feel like peace.
Yeah.
Fun can feel like self-assurance. And that's what I've had to learn. Like, fun doesn't mean you're just like getting completely wacky and you're like,
I was people watching last night, and it was just wonderful. Everyone was goofy and half dressed and having fun and all this stuff. And I'm just like, this is amazing. I didn't know what was going on. Everything was either inflated, like people on dinosaurs. There was a huge Osiris walking down the street that was 8 feet tall. I was in awe of all the people watching last night. And
that's amazing.
It was enough.
Yeah. Because last night, I was just, so people understand, we're recording the day after Halloween. So there was a lot going on in New York City on Halloween.
There was so much going on. So much that I didn't buy Ben and Jerry's.
That you did not buy Ben and Jerry's?
I did not buy. I thought about it. Oh boy, that'd be a bad morning. But I did.
Too much indulgence. Oh my gosh.
Well, you just can't. That pint's perfect size for a 200-pound man. It's the worst.
I'll bet. You are into the health scene for sure. And I know that you have some, I guess I want to call them alternative, but some different things to tap into that people can make a part of their routine that might be a little bit out of what they considered doing. So what kinds of things do you have your clients do that might be a little bit not mainstream?
First, I definitely try to get them to understand that some of these things are actually considered basics. So I try to give them a better definition of things that we've had information on for quite a long time. So different processes during their workouts, which you have to remind many people over and over again, because in their head, they're specific to like, this is what I do. And then these are the results, instead of, hey, this is what I do. And to avoid injury or to do this or to do it better, I should do this and that first. Once you get them to realize all these pieces are really basics, you can talk about using a sauna and steam room. You can talk about figuring out what kind of foods work best for your constitution, like they say in Ayurvedic medicine and Chinese medicine. You can talk about, or if they're more science-based, eating to your blood type. And then once they realize that there's science behind it, then you can have them correlate and be like, hey, all these things are not so different from each other because this and this. So we already know that something like, for instance, so most Latin people are O positive.
Oh.
That's most of our blood, myself. In Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, that's fire. So we might be more fire than for scientific reasons, along with emotional reasons and location and passion.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that that is the scientific category for us. So we're always in need of eating cooling foods.
I find that is so fascinating. And it's really interesting that how that correlates to the blood type and then your personality. Like it's all tied together.
Bone structure, your eye shape. I mean, you go to an acupuncturist or a naturopathic doctor, they'll tell you things. I mean, if I didn't go through it myself for years after accidents and car accidents and 3 slip discs, meniscus, all kinds of accidents for all kinds of reasons. I got to be around these people. Obviously, I like the stuff. And I saw where things correlate between the massage therapist in the same places the acupuncturist did, and the cupping, and the this and the that. It's amazing the information they have if you're actually just around them. So this is where we talked about having a team and building a team of people that are knowledgeable and willing to communicate with each other. I will never pretend to have all the answers, but I promise you, I will find you a couple of people who might.
Yeah. And there are a lot of people out there who have answers, different answers. And we talked about the idea of like truth in the world, truth coming out, truth seeking in this world. And I have found that to be something that's really come up prominently in my own life because of a health issue that I had to find out the truth about, the truth in air quotes, that I wasn't getting from my doctors. So it's interesting to think about the idea that there are different places you can find truth and the way that you're going to make that true for you.
Right.
Yeah. So
I like a debate. I'd rather have my doctors like really passionately debating things and then maybe having some shedding some light with each other on possibilities. As long as people are willing to work together, I've seen so many people do much better than they thought from almost anything over the last 28 to 25 years because they had the right grouping of people that are willing to work with each other and didn't have the ego to believe that they're the only ones.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. And that's where assembling your team, having your crew, and that's a theme that, that you talked about, even your son being a member of your team, your crew, and every person in your life who enhances it in whatever way, or a person who is there to teach you something. They're all members of your team, your crew.
Yeah. And things are constantly flowing in between. It's like, I realized, oh my God, my mom, this age, my son, I realized what grandchildren actually do. They give you a little more life that you didn't think you would get, or that lesson that you didn't think that you needed. And
that's right.
You give that oxytocin with a small child full of life, open to everything. Those hugs are better than anything else you've ever seen in your life or ever felt in your life. And it really brought my mom to life. And I was able to get fitness in there and also get meditation in there while she was in this grandma loving mode, and also get my own love because I had her so close for 3 years. She just left last week with my baby. So we've become so much closer now. So, but your team members give you these things and these lessons that you just didn't know were coming. But
Yeah.
when you pay attention, you're present, you're like, oh, the mirror goes up. And you're like, why shouldn't judge? I do the same thing.
Yeah. So how do
Really
you figure out who to bring into your team?
Oh, I guess we're all different. I have a gut sense. I don't mind making a small mistake. This is family, or are we talking about professionalism?
I would say if you think about it, I think there are people that are members of your soul family that you don't have a choice about, because I think that was chosen, that was selected before you even came in to this
I like
earth.
people who
But
tell me the truth. I like
people who
people
tell
who
you the
tell me,
truth. Yeah.
yeah, because that way you can't hide from yourself. And then when you do tell the truth with them, boy, does it feel good.
That's
And
right.
you're not being judged. Obviously, information accumulates, but you're not being judged.
And people who take you seriously, people who are willing to see you beyond the surface level.
Yeah, and you need older, you need younger, you need your age, because there's just some things you'll never know, and the young foolishly can say some magic,
They can.
and that you're like, oh, what? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's beyond your years. That was amazing, but it's different, and then
It is.
yeah, it's really incredible.
I think you need people at all different levels of life and with different belief systems. I don't want everyone around me to believe everything that I already believe. I want to be exposed to lots of richness and lots of diversity of thought and lifestyle and everything, because that's going to enhance my life.
Yeah, it definitely does. And some people are so different than you that they got to live this great life, being different and magnetically attracting this whole different life and journey that you would probably have never been involved in, because you may not be this kind of person, or someone may not be an artist, someone may not be a structured business person. Like, you need these experiences, or a great family man or woman, like a good family man or woman, like a stay-at-home wives that eventually became great grandmothers. Eventually, like, they can read a room like nobody else. My mom can read a room, and she says nothing. Now I'll watch her reading the room, and I try to find out when I'll look in her eyes to see when she's gotten complete thoughts on everybody. But most of the time, it's like hard to read her because she's just so good at it. It's just so natural. And then she's people pleasing. So you can see it behind it all.
Mm-hmm.
But when I talk to her, I'd be like, oh, she saw that too. It's just, man, you just don't know who's got what skills.
Yeah. And it's really interesting to look around and to see all of the different roles that people are playing. Is that one of the things that got you interested in acting?
Yeah, I've always done it some. High school, I actually had a great high school, which we had like huge theater production and everything else. But yeah, I guess it's people. I always love pockets of people that are completely different. So I loved working in sales, and these guys were all the same and so courageous and just didn't mind just going out there and talking and pulling people in. I was just like, oh, these guys are awesome. Obviously, religion, spirit and religion. I was always amazed at like how they led people.
Yeah.
And the people within who all help support everything that this place is still open. So little pockets I loved acting school. That was a wonderful, weird place. The gym atmosphere, that's the craziest, most like energy you'd ever see. You have a bunch of insecure people working harder than anybody you've ever seen. And at the same time, and at the end, when they feel better physically, it's so much easier to connect with. Anxious, they have to get to that heightened sense of physicality where they let go of something and gain something.
Yeah.
And at the end,
we're all playing roles. We're all playing those roles.
we are until we get to the really authentic role of just being okay with everything, okay with someone being different, being okay with where you are physically, and just setting a plan to make it better. Things like that.
Yes. You said to me that, and I thought this was really interesting, in this world today, you don't need a certain degree or a special certificate to help yourself out, to be an expert on something, or you. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I've seen some really incredible people do things in production. Like this person in an iPhone just won an award, or someone bought their movie for so many millions of dollars because they got saw it at some place and they didn't need to go to school for it. There's other things like wellness that I believe that you should. There's nothing better than an MD, especially now an MD. I send my clients to
Yeah.
MDs because they just look across everything.
Yep.
But when it comes to the motivational space, we have our friend Craig, who's coming somewhere different.
Yes.
And now he's just a blossoming inner child of strength. So much fun. But it's real what he's trying to give.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can enhance your natural qualities and allow those to affect others in the world. And you can find learning and find these places of like truth, like we were talking about, all over the place. It doesn't have to necessarily be in school.
No.
Because we're in the school of life.
We're in school of life, and now we have more and more leaders stepping up to help each other out. We have to be okay with being a part of the tribe and also leading every once in a while, and also being okay with being led. And,
that's right. We're always the teacher and the student.
Yeah. It's like a conversation, right? You talk, I listen. I talk, you listen. And it's a lot easier conversation.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Yeah. So what would you say are some of the biggest lessons that you learned in life?
I love anything is possible. It's real. Never like we think about it and see it in writing or motivation, but you give something and someone enough time, you're going to gain some knowledge, some respect, and some people who want to hear your story on that specific thing. And there's an exchange for that. And then you structure it with whatever skill sets you can to make it abundant for everyone. It's really an interesting thing to think about the breakdown of success and possibilities. And then School of Life saying, hey, we should spend this much time on this much time on that. And this is actually interesting. This is boring. This is fun. This person can help me out here. I should connect with that person. It's really interesting of how we can do these things, and anything's possible. And obviously it's much easier when you have other people helping.
Yes.
And sharing.
That's right.
Sense.
Yeah. What about your blessings? What would you say is your biggest blessing in life?
My biggest blessing, and it's funny to say because I bet most dads say this, and that's actually seeing the world differently when having my first child.
Yeah.
I thought that I would understand it because I helped raise my brothers and other family members from a young age, but it's different. And it changed the way I saw, the way I felt part of everything. I truly felt a part of everything and a responsibility for everything. So for helping others who are helping the world, for helping others who are trying to help themselves.
Yeah. And how old is your son now?
He's 3.5.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Wow.
Considered a COVID baby.
He's a COVID baby?
Yeah. Yeah, it happened right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So I didn't think I'd be in that category. Like when COVID happened, I'm just like, zombie apocalypse coming, everyone's going crazy. Let's see what happens. I didn't know. I was in the middle of Brooklyn for 10 years. And this happened. I didn't know what was going to happen, what was going to go on. I just stayed in Brooklyn. I didn't leave anywhere. And I never expected to have a baby on the way out of this situation.
It's a turning point in life when you become a parent, isn't it?
It's a reality check.
It is.
Yeah, it's a reality check. You're like,
it is.
Do you really think you know? Here's a piece of you have to take care of that can run off at any point in time.
That's right. Yeah. Now wait till you get to the point where they move out and do their own thing and have their own lives, and then you're child free again. I was just thinking about this in my own life.
Yeah, I'm preparing for that early because my son, he will run out out of any building, out of anything. First day of school.
He ran out.
Well, he knows how to open doors and things like that. And so he was a COVID baby and didn't have many play dates. So it's the first time that he was around kids. So let's just say that it was chaos all around, and it ended up with him opening the doors.
I'm out of here.
Yeah. So back to discipline and freedom.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was first day of school. Yeah.
Now they're on to him, so they probably have put measures in place.
Yeah. Yeah. They have extra chicken nuggets and tater tots in the corner just in case. Yeah.
So funny. Aw. I'm sure that you are an absolute amazing dad. It would be so fun to have you with your perspective on life as a father, and it'll be really beautiful to see how your little guy grows up to navigate this world.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I'm hopeful of so many good things.
I think that we are embarking upon a new age of positivity and light, and I see that pretty clearly.
Yeah.
Do you? What do you think?
I think everybody is leveling up spiritually. There is less you can hide from every individual. So if you want to get somewhere, you have to be a little more authentic or more of a well-shaped person.
Mm-hmm.
You will be seen. I don't think anyone can hide. And you can see it in our politics. You can see it in our state of the world. There's no hiding anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have these conversations. You have to have these arguments. You have to go through the fire. And I'm interested to see how that shapes up next for the younger generations.
Yeah.
What structures they put in place in order to make these things better or to elevate these things.
I think that's much needed. There's some interesting research coming out about children and social media and things like this. And I think we are on the brink of a change there. And the next generation maybe will have more of the tools they need to handle having a debate, having disagreements, learning from others, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it's already happening. We just had to see what the worst of these tools are, because we already know what the best is. We have all information at the tip of our fingers. I can look up anything. I don't have to have an Encyclopedia Britannica.
That's right.
There was no computer. Now everything is available. I can look up anything in any country.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's incredible. And the world can't hide from itself. So you can't hide things that are happening in other places.
Yep.
You can try to mislead, but eventually.
But if you know where to look, you can find the truth. Yep.
And eventually I think that we're going to grow to be more discerning.
Yeah. I think that's true.
Yeah. I can
You're right.
Something be like, yeah, let's see where this news source is coming from. Yeah, let's see this company. It gets really interesting.
Right. People are onto it now. They're onto it now. I do think there's still a lot of people out there who just blindly turn on their mainstream news and they buy into it. But I think most people know now that you have to do a little deeper digging on things.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, I realized that we're not fighting ourselves as badly as we were 2-3 years ago when it came to politics. There was all gatherings and riots, and we're actually listening to each other. We're actually realizing after those times that we have more in common than we think. And what makes us different is going to shape things up around us, and what's not supposed to be there will fall out.
Let the natural consequences happen.
Yeah.
And that will lead us to a positive future.
Yeah. And when things show up that you didn't expect, look at them.
Yeah.
Really look at them.
Look at them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it. And don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Yeah. These extremes these tough times tend to make happy times great.
That's right. Book, The Fourth Turning. Have you read that book?
No.
It's all about different eras of history and how tough times create better times, basically.
Right.
It's a good book. Yeah. You'd probably love it.
It was that saying having to do with soft times make soft men.
Yeah. That's where that comes from. It comes from that book.
I think that the more elevated version of that is now we get to see all the things. We've heard all the sayings, like what's next?
Mhm.
Can't stick to that old sayings. Like, how can we make that different?
Mhm.
It's a human experience need to be in order for us not to have those dips.
That's right. Yeah. Because
Right.
that's what they've shown is that these cycles have repeated over time, over thousands of years. And so we can either predict that we're going to continue in the cycle, or like you said, we can look at the ways that we can elevate beyond needing to repeat those cycles. We can be the liberators.
We can find the 2.0 of that experience.
Yeah.
Like next possibility.
Yeah. Love that. Thank you so much, Braven. I really love talking with you, and I appreciate your time and
Thank you.
all the things you shared. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate being in your library.
I only let certain very special people in here.
It's hilarious. I got to figure out how to do this. God.
I'll give
Thank
you my
Mitzi.
secrets.
Yes. Thank you, Mitzi. I appreciate you. And anyone else who's watching. There's nobody watching. It's just you and me.
It's just you and me and the world.
Nothing to be nervous about. Nothing to be scared about. Big deal.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's all good.
Oh, good.
Hey, everybody still listening, will you go give a 5-star review to this podcast? Mitzi puts in so much effort and so much love into this. She's brilliant. She deserves it. So I am going to go right now. By the way, by the time you hear this and you go give your 5-star review, you should be able to go find my 5-star review of this podcast. But I just want to thank you for what you're doing.